Hello and welcome to our London History Podcast, where we share our love of London, its people, places and history. This podcast is designed for you to learn things about London that most Londoners don't even know, all in 20 minutes. I am your host, Hazel Baker, qualified London tour guide and CEO of londonguidedwalks.co.uk. Show notes plus photos and recommended reading can be found on each associated episode's webpage. Simply go to londonguidedwalks.co.uk/podcast. Don't forget, if you enjoy what we do, then please rate and review. It warms the cockles of my heart to read your appreciation of this labour of love. Get that cup of tea, put your feet up and enjoy. Christmas crackers are a traditional Christmas favourite in Britain. They've become commonplace over Christmas dinner and have been around for over 150 years. What's a Christmas cracker for those asking overseas? Well, they're festive table decorations that make a bang sound when they're pulled apart and contain a small gift of some sort, a paper hat and a joke. Even though there's no guarantee that joke is funny. There are a couple of versions of Christmas cracker pulling tradition that I know of. The one I grew up with is that the person who ends up with the larger portion of the cracker once pulled wins the contents. What I have also experienced more recently, I must add, is that each person keeps the contents of their own cracker, regardless of who ends up with the larger section. The world's longest Christmas cracker measured 63.1 metres in length and 4 metres in diameter. For those die-hard old schoolers, that is 207 feet by 13 feet. And it was made by the parents of children at Leyhill School and Preschool, Chesham, Buckinghamshire, in 2001. And what about that all-exciting pull? The biggest Christmas cracker pull was at an event organised by Honda in Tochigi, Japan in 2009, which involved an impressive 1,478 people. When thinking about the Christmas traditions we have here in the UK, you may not connect London with the tradition of Christmas crackers. Well, let me introduce you to Tom Smith, a baker and confectioner who is credited with the invention of the Christmas cracker. Tom Smith was born in Newington, South London in 1823. By the age of 7, Tom was working as an apprentice to a baker and confectioner. Upon completing his apprenticeship and becoming a master himself, he opened his first shop in Goswell Road, Clerkenwell, where he made and sold wedding cakes and other confectionery. It was on a trip to Paris where he first came across bonbons, almonds wrapped in a twist of pretty tissue paper. He came back to London and made and sold his own version, which became popular, particularly around Christmas time. To encourage year-round sales, Smith would often include mottos or riddles within the wrapping. In 1847, he developed his design to incorporate a snapping or crackling sound, supposedly inspired from the crackle from logs in the fireplace. The challenge for him was to find a chemical that would make the bang, but would not be too dangerous and suitable for all members of the family to use. After experimenting with different chemicals, some of which caused fires to break out, he discovered the right one, sodium nitrate. The old name for this was saltpeter, and it's been called the mother of gunpowder. Only very small amounts of this explosive were used. Smith would stick the sodium nitrate mixture onto 2 thin strips of card. The ends of the strips were stuck together with the sodium nitrate in between, and then the strips, when they're pulled apart, well, the friction caused the sodium nitrate to explode, making a crack and a spark. It's all very exciting. When reading around the subject, I had read that Tom had bought the explosive recipe from a local fireworks company, Brock's Fireworks, and that was founded in 1698, and it's still in business today. How amazing. Tom Smith launched his new range of what he called bangs of expectation. Legend says that one night, while he was sitting in front of his log fire, he became very interested by the sparks and cracks coming from that fire. And he thought what a fun idea it would be if his sweets would be opened with a crack when the fancy wrappers were pulled in half. The story of him sitting by the fire, though, it's plausible for inspiration, and it also could have been quite easily the creation from the marketing department. Oh, also in the same year, 1847, is when he patented the cracker. And the success of the cracker enabled the company to move to larger premises at 65, 67 and 69 Wilson Street, Finsbury Square in London. Does your family have a name for Christmas crackers? When I was reading around, I found the nickname Cossacks and thought to be named after the cracking sound that the Russian Cossack horsemen made with their whips. What made Tom Smith and his Christmas crackers so popular? The widespread industrialisation of the country had helped to form a new middle class. They had more disposable income than ever before, and more people were buying more things, and Christmas was the perfect excuse for an extra flutter. Britain saw the increase in production of mass-produced toys, decorations, Christmas cards and novelty items, such as, yes indeed, the Christmas cracker. Exciting large displays such as horse-drawn carriages and sleighs for the big shops in London drew the crowds and, of course, got people talking. And staying relevant and pleasing their customers was also key. The Tom Smith Company built up a large range of themed crackers. There were over 100 designs. There was a series for bachelors and one for spinsters, where the gifts included items such as false teeth and wedding rings. One dreads to think what else they contained. The price of the Millionaire's crackers reflected their name, and they contained a solid silver box with a piece of gold and silver jewellery inside. If you're looking for something to spend your hard-earned money on this Christmas, then perhaps the Regal Cracker from Fortnum Mason's is for you. It's presented in an iconic Fortnum's hamper, and each of the 6 Regal Crackers contains not one, but, oh yes, 2 redeemable vouchers for Fortnum's hamper selection. Voucher options range from the wine cellar hamper and the collection hamper to the Piccadilly hamper and the Fort Mason hamper. A pack of 6 Regal Christmas crackers will set you back £5,000. Getting back to Tom Smith, later on the company produced crackers for suffragettes, a series featuring war heroes, and even one for Charlie Chaplin fans. Crackers were not only made for Christmas, oh no, they were also made for special occasions, like coronations. When Tom Smith died in 1869, his expanding cracker business was taken over by his 3 sons, Tom, Walter and Henry. Walter introduced the hats into Christmas crackers, and he also travelled around the world looking for new ideas for gifts to put in them. The links between the Smith family and the company came to an end after the retirement of the 3 sons. Tom Smith was a brand that could be trusted. The Islington Gazette wrote, "Nothing is so calculated to exile the risibilities of every guest at the festive board, from the infant to the patriarch, as the Christmas cracker. Tom Smith is a splendid combination of artist and humorist. Each glittering envelope with its hidden treasure raises expectations which are rarely misplaced when the mystery is revealed. Success has been achieved because the purveyor of Christmastide merriment has discovered the art of being funny without being vulgar. The bare enumeration of the novelties of the great Finsbury house, with many of which the public have long been familiar, would fill a pamphlet. A reporter from the Globe in 1894 thought that Tom Smith's continual development of the invention played a role in the success. It would seem difficult to introduce any striking novelty into the manufacture of the Christmas cracker, but Tom Smith year by year contrives something fresh. This year, the novelty is of a very distinct character and likely to appeal irresistibly to the manufacturer's large clientele. It is a repeating cracker. Instead of one explosion, it, on properly being pulled, gives a succession of half a dozen explosions. They sound fun. Apparently it was on the principle of the Gatling-gun, and that was the first hand-driven machine gun, also invented in the Victorian era. What other versions of Christmas crackers did Tom Smith offer? Well, there was a series containing musical instruments, toys, whistles, and miniature dolls, jewellery, luggage, whatever that was, and other things which in many cases will be found to amuse children and interest their elders as well. The writing team at Tom Smith took their job seriously. I found this short article about them. Into stereotyped grooves, but by some means or other to impart freshness and novelty to their production. Upon the literary style of the crackers accompanying the crackers, Mrs. Smith are particularly to be praised. Some ladies now make pretty songs, and some make pretty nurses. Some men are great at righting wrongs, and some at writing verses. Mrs. Tom Smith are, however, careful to avoid the doggerel which seems to satisfy many of their competitors. Among the authors who have worked for them was the late Tom Hood, while Charles H. Ross, Ernest Warren, Howard Paul, and other accomplished versifiers are among their present contributors. In their effort to raise the general standard of the Christmas cracker, Mrs. Tom Smith deserve the support of all who agree with the wholesome theory that whatever is worth doing in the best possible way. And colonial buyers, when making out their indents, will do well to remember that the best crackers are to be obtained from the works in Wilson Street, Finsbury. Tom Smith took their marketing seriously. Not only did they produce exquisite product brochures, they also created the ultimate advertising jingle in the 1890s. Tom Smith is the king of crackers. He stands alone and needs no bakers. It looks better than it sounds. By 1900, Tom Smith was selling more than 13 million crackers a year. Today, the Tom Smith Group is part of Napier Industries Limited, based in Rickmansworth, and is still the largest manufacturer of Christmas crackers in the world. Even to this day, the royal family still has special crackers made by Tom Smith. Oh, and their wrapping paper. When did the sweet get replaced by an often disappointing gift? What was wrong with having a sweet inside? Anyone? My guess is that we have Walter Smith to thank for this. Walter was one of Tom Smith's 3 sons, and he took over the running of the company after his father's death and developed the Christmas cracker into the version we're familiar with today. It was Walter who began to include the gifts and paper hats that then differentiated the Tom Smith cracker from that of their competitors. And what's with the paper hats in Christmas crackers? Does anybody wear them anymore? The tradition of wearing festive headgear is believed to date back to Roman times and their Saturnalia celebrations, and their celebrations also involved decorative headdresses. But if that's too far to go back, then, well, maybe they're supposed to be paper crowns. Well, they do have pointy bits on them. So during the 12th night celebration, a king or queen was appointed to look over the proceedings. And could the paper crowns come from this tradition? Or are the crowns representative of the three wise men? Does anybody know? If you do, please get in touch and put me out of my misery. When whizzing through the streets of Moorgate in between corporate Christmas tours, I was reminded of a Christmas-related story to an often overlooked Victorian drinking fountain on the southeast corner of Finsbury Square, and I've added some photos into the show notes for you. Now, I did say that it's often overlooked, and that's probably because it's not in the most prominent position. Its original position was on the southwest corner of Finsbury Square. Don't believe me? Then check out the heartwarming film The Salvage Gang, filmed in 1958, where a group of children who have broken a saw whilst building a rabbit hutch wander around the streets of London doing odd jobs to earn money for a replacement. The children, Pat, Ali, Freddie and Kim, carry a metal-framed bed over Tower Bridge. Long story. Up through the City of London before taking a well-deserved drink from said fountain. And if you like old films in London, then make sure you listen to episode 15, Old Movies Filmed in London. And this is where we talk to feature writer, critic and author Richard Luck. And we look at some of the films filmed in London in the 50s, 60s and 70s. There's an inscription on the water fountain with the words, "Erected and presented to the parish of St. Luke by Thomas and Walter Smith, Tom Smith & Co., to commemorate the life of their mother, Martha Smith, 1826 to 1898. And yep, that's our Tom Smith's wife. And why is the fountain on Finsbury Square? Well, of course, that is where they had their factory. No longer there now, sadly, or all new buildings, but it is a nice reminder of the industrial heritage that London has and so often forgets. What types of jokes are contained within Christmas crackers nowadays, you ask? Well, here are my top 3. What do you call Santa's little helpers? Subordinate clauses. What type of shoes does Santa wear when he travels on a train? Platforms. And my final favourite, who hides in the bakery at Christmas? A mince pie. If you are in London this Christmas, then why not come and join me on a Victorian Christmas walk, starting at St Paul's Cathedral, and we end at the magnificent Somerset House. You can book tickets online, londonguidedwalks.co.uk/Christmas events. And if you want to hear more about London's Christmas history, then head to our previous episodes, number 74, Christmas in 1950s and 60s London, episode 35, A Tudor Christmas, and episode 34, London's Old Shops, Food and Drink. This is our last episode for 2021. We have a jam-packed season ready for you for 2022. They have been already recorded and edited, and we have some cracking new guests ready for the new year. And thank you for those who have left a voice message on the website requesting particular items and themes to talk about. I think we've managed to cover everybody's request off, but there is space. If there's something that you want us to cover about a person or a place or an historic event in London, then please leave us a voice message on our website. If you haven't already, and it is the season of giving, then if you like what we do, please rate and review. Google Podcasts, Apple Podcast, whatever works for you, works for us. I really hope you have a fantastic Christmas, no matter what lies in store, and I will see you next year. That's all for now.